read these popular book talk romance authors for 7 days straight, and these are my final thoughts. If anything, I'm proud that I made this small little TBR that included 7 books and I stuck to it. I did it. I read all 7 books. Some of these books are 5-star reads. Some of them I didn't really care for too much, and some of them were good books and I would recommend. I've heard of all of these authors through Booktok. They're very popular in the romance genre, and I just haven't had a chance to get around to reading them until recently. We'll start with the first book, Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This was recommended to me by my sister. She loves this book. She says that it's a 5-star read and she ate up every second of it. My sister saying that this was a 5-star read was a very monumental moment because my sister doesn't really hand out 5 stars that often, so you know I had to read it. And this book is an example of reading is subjective because I gave it 3 stars. I really like certain aspects of this book, but there are overall plot points that I just didn't care for. But what I did love was the writing style, the banter, the small town vibes, the characters, and the characters were really well written. There's this one little thing about the main female character that I didn't care for, and it's the fact that she would not shut the hell up about her ex-boyfriend. She was yapping about that man all throughout the book, and I literally mean all throughout the book. There was a point where there was like maybe 100 pages left and she was like, I need to go to couple counseling with my ex-boyfriend. Are we still doing this? This is technically the first book in a 3-part series. I believe they're interconnected standalones. I did end up buying the next 2 books in this series because I did enjoy Abby Jimenez's writing and her storytelling ability, but the overall plot, I still do give it a 3-star. Does it feel petty to say that? Yes, but with all these books, I just have to be completely honest in my feelings, and those are my feelings. Moving on to Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. This is probably more of a serious romance. It's still listed as contemporary romance, but it definitely has aspects of this book that are a little bit more heavy than any of the other books in this list. A lot of the plot line revolves around mental health and some very tragic things that have happened in these main characters' life. It is a second chance romance, and I do love the second chance romance. And it was beautifully written. It was entertaining. I think the mental health aspect of this book was top tier. It was great. This book does come with a trigger warning. There are some reflections on past difficulties, including a stillbirth, loss of a loved one, discussions of complicated grief, depression, and passive suicidal ideations. No attempts. Those are the triggers listed in this book. And I think the story is beautifully told with that in mind. This book is definitely one of the books that puts things in perspective, that just because you're okay on the outside doesn't mean that you're not struggling deeply on the inside. This is definitely worth the read. I gave it 4 stars. Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This is a 5-star read for me. I loved every second of it. It is another second chance romance that is just so beautifully written. It is one of those stories that flips back and forth between the past and the present, but the past is whenever they were younger. Like I'm talking like 14, 15, 16, up until I think they were 18 when they split ways, and it picks back up in the present time when they're in their late 20s and they run into each other by accident. The writing was addictive. It just seamlessly told the story. The main male character is kind of awkward and quirky, definitely nerdy. Kind of gives golden retriever vibes, but not really. He is very simple. He's kind of like straight to the point. He knows what he wants, and he's the type of man that like he is all about routine. Once he finds something that he likes, he's like with it for life. The main female character in this book, she was funny and relatable, and the ending of the book could potentially make you cry. I was definitely on the verge of it, but I didn't quite cry, but I could see why people would cry. Next, we have Beach Read by Emily Henry. Now, this is a very popular Booktok book. I listened to this on audio, and if I'm going to be completely honest, I didn't enjoy it. I think I would give it like 2.5 stars. I just found the book to be a little dry and boring. Now, here's the thing that I love in my romance books. I love when there's good tension and I love when there's good banter. I don't feel like this book had that. Have you ever asked yourself, will these characters still be together in 5 years or will they have gotten a divorce? I personally think that these people would maybe get a divorce, which is kind of fucked up because of the whole premise of the book. The main female character was slightly insufferable and she made everything about her, and I just can't with that. This is the first time I said all of this out loud. So with all that being said, I think I lean more towards 2 stars because I really don't know if I could think of anything that I enjoyed about this book. This is probably one of the more harsher reviews I've given over a book, but know that people love this book. It is popular. So just because I feel this way doesn't mean that you'll feel this way, and that I will never be the type of person to say a book doesn't deserve the hype, but I will definitely be the type of person to say this book was not for me. Wild Love by Elsie Silver. Ooh, 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 ooh. I love this book. This was my first Elsie Silver book, and I'm so excited to read the Chestnut Spring series after I read this book. The way Elsie Silver just sets up the tension in this book. This book does have small town vibes in it. The main male character is a billionaire. The main female character is coming back into town after, you know, living her little city life somewhere. I wouldn't say this is a second chance romance. It's more like they have always kind of liked each other but never really acted on it until they become adults. Kind of also gives enemies to lovers because instead of admitting that they liked each other, they pretended like they hated each other. I give it 4 stars, but I still really enjoyed it. The tension, the banter, everything. Not So Meet Cute by Megan Quinn. This book is 5 stars. I love this book so much. This was everything. This does lean a little bit more on the spicier side. I guess I'll go back into and rate the spice level on each book so you know, but this definitely has some heat to it. This is definitely an enemies to lovers type vibe. There is a relationship contract that they are abiding by, which makes them spend a lot of time together, but they don't really like each other or care for each other at first. And then the tension and the banter, everything. And what I really enjoyed about this book that was different from the other books was this book kind of breaks the fourth wall a little bit. There's certain parts where like the main female character is talking where she kind of breaks the fourth wall and she'll be like, yeah, I know that's crazy, don't judge me. Like almost directly talking to a friend or directly talking to the reader, and little moments like that just made me giggle the way I giggled my whole way through this book. And I'm so excited to read more Megan Quinn books because this top tier. Now this is the one and only DNF from this pile, which is Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I read Love Hypothesis and I think I gave that 3 stars, and then I tried to read Bride and ended up DNFing that, and then I've also DNF'd this. For me, I think what I don't vibe with is it's just a little too cheesy, a little too corny, a little too in La La Land. Let's go back through and rate the books on their spice level. We'll say 1 through 5. How I rate my spice is like how much like emotion and like the tension and like how detailed the spice scenes are. So that being said, Not So Meet Cute, I honestly would probably give this 4 chilies. It is pretty spicy. Wild Love by Elsie Silver, we'll give this one 3 chilies. Beach Read, like 2. Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren, very tame. Maybe like 1.5, maybe 2 chilies. Very mild, tame spice. Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan, I would say the same as Love in Other Words, maybe 2 chilies. And To Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, we'll say maybe 2.5, 3 chilies. Those are my final thoughts on these popular romance authors. Let me know if you've read any of these books or if any of these books are on your TBR. I hope you're doing well. I keep saying that summer is for the romances, so I have another wave of romance books for indie authors that I'm super excited to read. But I'm gonna take a little break for a second, maybe read like a thriller and maybe squeeze in a fantasy, and then I'll pick back up on my romance binge. I hope you're doing well and I hope you're taking care. Are you participating in Feral Girl Summer? And if you're like, what is Feral Girl Summer? I don't know. It just feels right. Like, it feels like you have Hot Girl Summer, but that is definitely not my vibe. What feels right is Feral Girl Summer. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Okay, bye. Love you.